Hey planty peeps, welcome to Niche's Plants. My name is Kanisha, also known as Niche. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Just wanted to say today is a particular type of video. It's basically your 5-step care guide to taking care of your Anthurium Cutucuence. Now I know I've not found anything on YouTube in regards to care, and it's somewhat hard to find things online unless you're gonna go through all the content and all the research and kind of decipher through things. So I thought I would just try and make it simple today, just telling you about what I do for my Cutucuence, and yeah, let you know what works. So if you do like these type of videos, whether it's care guides, tours, how-tos, please do like, subscribe, comment, share, because it really does help my channel. If you'd like to contribute monetarily, then please do buy me a coffee, link down below. So let's get into it. Anthurium Cutucuence, I'm not going to keep saying the full names, I'm just going to say AC, Anthurium C. Okay, so the AC is found in Ecuador. There's 2 provinces of which it lives or resides in. I'll put their names down below. Now generally these are within the cloud forest of the Andes, so the temperature is somewhat cooler, anywhere between 20 and 27 degrees Celsius. At night obviously it drops lower than that, I think anywhere from about 10 to 16. Now humidity is still high, but it's not at the highest consistently. I would say that it fluctuates, but again it is on the cooler side. Now in regards to their growth, they start as a single leaf blade, which I will show you. As they mature, then they get a dual leaf blade and then a trisexual leaf blade, and as that continues to mature, the trisexual leaf blade will just get longer and bigger, and I'll show you some of those pictures, and the length between the petiole and the stem will get shorter. So if I now kind of talk to you through my 5 steps of how I take care of my AC, then we can go through that. Obviously guys, if you have any questions or just any, I want to say concerns, but if you have any questions, then do throw them down in the comments. I will get back to you and I'll respond and help out where I can. So care tip number 1. Care tip number 1 is light. Now my AC gets, say, medium to medium bright indirect light. Now I say that because where you see my cabinet is in a southeast facing window. It goes east to southeast. Now it's usually at the back of the cabinet because I don't want it getting direct light at the start of the day. Now it gets a little dappled light through the blinds at the start of the day. As the sun moves around, it's more shaded, but it does get medium bright light. Now medium because it's to the back of the shelf, but bright because it's right in the window, so it is getting some aspects or floods of light now and again. It's just not in direct light consistently, because I've realized if it's directly under the light, whether it's in the grow light or the sun's on it, the leaf it gets somewhat transparent, so they're not as dark as they can be, and they don't look as solid. They look transparent and they're like a lime green, and you don't want that. You want them to be darker as they should be as they grow. So that's why it needs more medium light, because it will grow as it requires. Now mine seems to be happy where it is because it has given me a few shoots, which I'll show you the pictures, and I've sold some of those, so I've kind of kept it in that position because it was doing so well. Yes, so lighting is medium bright indirect light. That's what I would say it is, because it's in a shaded area. It gets dappled bright indirect light, but not consistently. Tip number 2 is watering and moisture. Now being in a cloud forest and humidity, you can expect that there's a constant level of moisture in the air because of the humidity, because of where they are in the mountains, that you do get the clouds sitting in that area, so they are constantly moist. So because of that, again, they're in my greenhouse because the humidity is higher. The humidity generally on the Anthurium shelf is anywhere between 70 and 85%. Again, on hotter days it does increase, but I do frequently open the doors as well as have fans in, so the temperature just drop and rise, so it kind of somewhat reflects nature in the sense that it's not at the same temperature and humidity all day long. It fluctuates, especially in the evening, because it does drop. So to relay that in regards to watering, I do water my AC pretty much every, you know what, because it's in moss, probably every 2 weeks. I do check the moss obviously to see if it's still damp. If it is, then I won't water it, but when I do, I literally just water around, sprinkle, not heavily, until I get a few drops at the bottom, and then I can see that the rest of the moss is soaking it up. Now because I find it's a delicate plant, even though it's done well and it's not really kicked up a fuss, you want to, this is probably the one where moisture is quite important, because I've realized when I've underwatered or watered too late, or watered too much, the tips of the leaf blade goes crispy. You have to be quite spot on and just monitor to make sure the substrate that it's in. Now I recommend moss because of airflow, and I think it's easier to control in regards to how much water is retained within the moss, because obviously if you water it too much you can take it out. Somewhat squeeze it. Obviously you have to be careful of the roots because you don't want to be cracking roots. We don't want to be doing that, but you can kind of squeeze it to get excess water out, and you can fluff moss up. So you literally, if it's compact, squeeze it a bit and just pull it up, and that's fluffing it up to get the air through the substrate. If it's soil, you can't really do that, because unless you're going to press the soil down to compact, again you don't want to damage roots. To try and get the excess water out, it's not as easy. Again, you could use arrowed mix if it's really Of course you can use arrowed mix that's aerated, and that would do just fine as well. And being an AC, they like to climb, they do like to attach, and then that's how their leaf blades will get bigger and more elongated, because they're able to climb. So I do need to put mine on a moss bowl. I will show you that they do have aerial roots forming, and I think I just need to pot it up in something else and let it climb to do that. But yes, like, watering is a key thing with this plant. Beyond anything else, watering is key. And also bearing in mind, if it's in higher humidity, you don't have to water as often because it will take some of the moisture from the air through its leaf blades. So just keep that in mind. Tip number 3 is temperature. Now, like I said, in their natural environment, in their home, the cloud forest, they would usually have temperatures between 20 and 27 degrees Celsius throughout the day. Now generally my cabinet is a minimum of about 22 and a half degrees, and it will go up on a good day to about 24 and a half, 25. Today's been quite consistent at 24 and a half. Like I said, hotter days it does go up to 27, 30. If it's at 27, I'm fine. I just have my fans in and it's going. If it's hitting more 29, 30, then I will basically open the doors a little bit so it's got more airflow, because obviously I don't want the plants to cook, especially with the Cutucuence, because basically it's got the moisture in the substrate, which is the moss, but obviously the warmer it is, the more quickly that the moisture in the moss will evaporate and dissipate into the air, which is great. It's humidity, but it still needs moisture, so we don't want to cook up a lot. So 20 to 27 degrees Celsius should be fine. Now if your temperatures are a little lower than that, your Cutucuence will still survive, they'll still be fine, because in the evenings in the cloud forest the temperatures can drop as low as 10 degrees Celsius. So usually it's between 10 and 16 degrees. For myself in my cabinet in the evening, it usually drops to about, on a colder day, about 16, 17, but on average it's about 18, 19 in the evening. So again, that's why sometimes I open my greenhouse cabinet doors to try and help reflect the fluctuation of temperature and humidity as it would do in the wild. Obviously you can't get things, you know, perfect, but it does help to do that. And also it kind of, I think personally, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I feel like it makes my plants a bit hardier, because if they're always in 90% humidity with 27 degrees Celsius, and then I don't know, if it gets really cold or my lights go or something happens and it drops to like 70% humidity or 50% humidity and 20 degrees Celsius, they're going to freak out. Like, do you know what I mean? So the fluctuation allows them to gradually adapt to the changing environment. However, the majority of time the environment is what they prefer or what they thrive in, which is, you know, the 20 to 27 with like 60, 70, 80% humidity. And just one more thing on temperature, obviously the higher it gets, make sure you've got your airflow just to circulate the air and keep it moving, which also helps with humidity, because it moves the humidity throughout the cabinet, makes sure things aren't stagnant. But with the moving of the air, it allows temperatures to remain the same in regards to it being maybe 26 degrees, but the humidity as it's moving might drop to 83, but it's still quite humid, but the flow just adds some balance to that. So just bear that in mind. I hope that makes sense. I'll say tip number 4 is humidity. I know I've somewhat spoken on it, but just to kind of home in. Now humidity in the cloud forest again is quite cool. Now my cabinet, as I've said, my Cutucuence is generally on about between 70 minimum to 90% humidity, depending. If I've just watered the plants, then it will be at 90%, because obviously you've got evaporation and everything else happening, so that's fine. But majority of time is between 70 and 80, maybe 85. Now again, it's being towards the back of the cabinet, so in regards to airflow, I have a fan at the bottom, a fan at the top, and the air's moving that way, if that makes sense. So it's crossing over, but even with the crossover, because my Cutucuences to the back of the cabinet, it's not getting blown on, it's not getting a big rush of air, it's just getting little breezes now and again, and that will help in regards to the movement of moisture in the air, making sure the air isn't, you know, stale, stagnant, but also it allows the humidity to regulate itself and remain at a good level. It's not causing it to drop and like raise really high and then drop again. It's just allowing it to be consistent. So humidity is a good thing. I wouldn't say it's a necessity, however I will admit I've never had or kept my AC outside of the greenhouse. Like, it's with me now and it's fine. Now you can see we've got a tri-leaf blade there and a tri-leaf there, so you can see we've got tri-leaf here, tri-leaf there, and we've got this single one, but we've also got new growth coming there and also new growth on that bit there. Can you see it's about to pop through? So that's quite, I'm excited about that. Now we do have an aerial root coming through there, which obviously will be, as it grows, it's wanting to climb, so I need to put it on a moss pole so that these roots can form and it can just climb up. But it is lovely. Now just to show actually, so when I had it towards the rear of the cabinet, in its ideal condition when it was really flourishing, now I have sold a few, as you see. I did, like my previous picture, it was quite bushy, which was actually quite nice, but you'll see that these petioles are a lot, or these leaf blades are a lot darker. You see that, where this one is somewhat lighter, and that was because it was in more of bright indirect light. So that's what I mean. Even though it looks okay and it's fine, but really they are quite dark naturally, so have it in a more shaded area. But they, other than that, I find them, I don't want to be, you know, like annoy people, but I find them quite easy to care for. Like, I don't feel like I do much for it. I literally, it's in moss, I check, yep, it's damp, I leave it at the back, check that, you know, as it's growing, it's not resting on the glass and getting damp and just sitting in water on its petiole or leaves basically. Fertilize it now and again, and that's it. And I think once you've got the conditions right, then it will just flourish, as mine has, so much so that I've sold two. So yeah, this is it. So sorry, I've nearly forgot. Point number 5 is fertilizer. And again, I did mention this before. Now, in regards to fertilizing this plant, I don't fertilize it that much. I don't fertilize it heavily. I fertilize it, I would say maximum twice a month, sometimes once a month. I don't feel like it needs much, and I think it's quite a delicate plant, even though I can just leave it and it does its own thing. So I do use, like I said before, growth technology orchid focus with seaweed. I use that for all of my anthuriums. I water it down, dilute it, and I literally get the watering can and just water it around until I see the water come down. And once it hits here, a few drops come through, I leave it, because I know if one side is soaked, it will just spread throughout the substrate, because it's moss, it will just, it draws the moisture to it, so it's fine, and the roots will find out where they need to go. But that's it with fertilizer. With a plant like this, I wouldn't use artificial fertilizer, even though the roots they're quite strong, they're not, you know, fragile roots. I just think for this type of plant and how much, like, it's a small plant, if you look at it, it's actually quite delicate. If you look at the stems and its structure, it's quite a delicate plant, and I feel personally, and I've not tried it, so I can't 100% confirm, but I personally feel like artificial fertilizer might be a bit too strong, and I don't want to I just want to keep it natural. I like to. So yeah, that's why I use orchid focus, because it's more on the natural elements. It's growth technology, where they've taken the nutrients and the macronutrients that the plants need, especially arrows. Like, if you look at orchids, they're epiphytes just like anthuriums, so their properties of what they need in regards to nutrients are pretty much the same. There'll be a few things that differ, but not much, and that's why that goes for that. That's why I use it, and it works for my anthuriums really well. They do well on it. So I hope that helps. I know it's really general, but I hope it gives some sort of guidance in regards to how to treat your Anthurium Cutucuence, how to look after it, where to position it in regards to light, in regards to humidity. I think humidity is one thing you could probably be a bit more flexible on if you don't have a closed, like, terrarium or greenhouse. But watering, and light definitely is one thing that I think if you've got those two things on point, then you should see it grow and you should be fine. I feel like humidity just helps with obviously absorbing moisture through its leaves, but also just in regards to unfurling, it just makes things easier because there's a bit more slip. But let me know how you go on. Do let me know what conditions you have your cutucuence in. Do let me know if you have one, how long you've had it, if you've got a single leaf blade, if you've got a double, if you've got a tri. Do let me know. So hopefully this was helpful. If so, please do like, subscribe. Again, if you've got comments, throw it down below. Hit me up on IG, and I'll speak to you soon. All right, guys, take care for now. Dare to dream, live to grow, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.